In the 14th year of Chongzhen in the Ming Dynasty, the Little Ice Age had reached its most severe period, the pestis storm in the capital was brewing, and Luoyang had lost. The emperor was still worried about the situation in eastern Liaoning, just at this time of ups and downs. Chen Ye, a lucky time and space trading clerk, matched Chongzhen. Chongzhen. Buy food, buy radio stations, buy guidance from immortals. Sell gold, sell minerals, and sell what daming can sell. I want all the places where the sun shines in this world to be clear soil. I will establish a new Ming dynasty with distinctive characteristics under the guidance of immortals and a sound knowledge system. Chen Ye. Don't ask, this Yomla encyclopedia, ancient recipe secrets, and extinct animal protection parks are truly grown from the ground. Bookfriend Group 954975531, Keywords of the novel. I have become a supplier of Chongzhen without a pop-up window. I have become a supplier of Chongzhen. Download the complete TXT collection, and I have become a supplier of Chongzhen. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Where to Earn Blood. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Where to Earn Blood. Ding. The trial version of the time-space trading system is online. Who is playing short videos outside on the subway. Test qualification confirmation completed, shop owner qualification confirmation completed. It seems like a new version of the ship that I haven't seen before. On the subway, Chen Ye pulled the hanging ring and turned around to see who was playing a novel advertisement outside. In recent years, short videos have become popular, and various advertising texts have emerged one after another, among which carving advertisements is the most brainwashing. Such as the crooked-mouthed god of luxury, the villainous time traveling to recoup investments, the Tang family with roasted chicken wings, and the greasy Tang emperor. Chen Ye loves watching this kind of advertisement the most. Novels are not as fun as their sand sculpture acting skills. He estimated that this inexplicable trading system was someone watching advertisements. System installation completed. This system can conduct transactions across different levels and trigger certain conditions to reward technology gift packages. Starting from binding to this system, the host will be able to avoid all fatal factors. The current version is testing version 1.0. You can contact trading partner. 01. The version update time is uncertain. Version 1.0 system can only trade ancient planes. 30 days later, the time travel function will be activated, and the cooldown time will be calculated based on the entry time, with a time ratio of 1.1. Serious warning, do not proactively disclose system information, as well as spatiotemporal plane information, to anyone. The system has highly intelligent judgment criteria. The sound continued, and Chen Ye began to fall into a daze. Is this voice in my mind? After reading novels for many years, I actually encountered this kind of opportunity. At this time, Chen Ye wants to go to the hospital's official account and make an appointment for himself to get a psychiatric clinic number. In my mind is an extremely simple trading system, divided into two columns. One is a chat window where I can communicate with people. Another one is the showcase, where you can trade with people. As the previous owner, Chen Ye can price his own products. The system prompts that all items belonging to the user can be placed in the display window, including those not around, but military products and semi-finished products are temporarily closed. Looking at this prompt, Chen Ye silently tried, and the Bluetooth earphones in his pocket were directly displayed in the shop window. I casually offered a price of 500 yuan, then thought about the layout of my home and put my computer in the showcase. The operation is very smooth and accurate, and I didn't mistakenly put the desk on the shelf just because I thought about its appearance halfway through. If I buy a mountain, can I also go to the showcase? Oh, forget it, even if I buy a mountain, it belongs to the country. Chen Ye put the earphones back in his pocket and the computer back in its original position, starting to think about what he could do. Ancient time and space, I don't know if it was a historical dynasty or a completely different world. And they also said that the update time is not yet determined. are there still many customers in the future? Knowing that it is ancient time and space, there are already many things that can be sold, including clothing, food, housing, and transportation. Firstly, essential items such as clothing, food, as well as lighters and mirrors, are also prepared. Get off the subway and walk into the convenience store near your home. Hello, do you have a membership card? No, let's just use WeChat and get another big pocket. Okay, a total of 111. 5 yuan. The payment has been made. I completed the purchase at the convenience store downstairs, casually threw a bottle of water into the trash can, and then hid the bottle of water. He just carried a pile of miscellaneous items into the elevator, which can be considered as the first batch of things he put on the display window. Opening the door and entering the house, with a single thought, everything was placed in the showcase, categorized and even detailed. Cost price. 10 kilograms of rice costs 45 yuan, 2 8-inch makeup mirrors cost 20 yuan, 2 kilograms of apples cost 4 yuan, 2 lighters cost 2 yuan, 2 bottles of shampoo cost 30 yuan, 2 bottles of soap cost 6 yuan, and 2 bottles of Nongfu Sanquan cost 4 yuan. The mineral water hidden downstairs also appeared in the shop window, and the same idea appeared on Chen Ye's coffee table. The one in the trash can doesn't appear. It seems that what I voluntarily threw away already belongs to me. How can I judge if I hide it in the trash can? How many times is it worth 100 yuan? I can only sell it to one person. If he doesn't make much profit, I'll make it slowly, right? Open the soda can in the refrigerator and look at the rice, fruits, mirrors, toiletries, and lighters in the shop window. Although I don't know what time and space that noodles are, it's true that there will be people buying food in any time and space. The price has not been determined by Chen Ye yet. We can wait until we confirm the other party's identity. Just as I was thinking about it, a message prompt suddenly appeared. Number 1 plane matching successful, plane time in the 14th year of Chongzhen, matching object, Emperor Chongzhen Zhu Youjian. Pa Ji, Chongzhen. The happy water can in Chen Ye's hand was deformed by being pinched. Quickly walking up to the computer, Chen Ye immediately Baidu, how much money does Zhu Youjian have in the end of Chongzhen? Well, Chongzhen is still very wealthy. At least tens of thousands of taels are easily available, and he can maintain the expenses of the palace. Anyway, he is also richer than me, a common person. We can sell his gold artifacts and ask him to find some silver, as well as various items in the palace. The Ministry of Revenue also brings out a lot every year. However, in order to maximize sustained benefits, one must wait for him to control the world and expand to the Middle East and Australia. When the time comes, oil and coal mines will all be money. Hey, we can make the whole country live an era where 1 liter of oil is not as expensive as a bottle of cola. Although Chen Ye is not a historian, he still has some understanding of Chongzhen and the Ming Dynasty. In the Ming Dynasty, what was advocated was not to cede territory, not to reconcile, the emperor guarding the country's gates, and the king sacrificing the state. The emperor was arrested and wanted to negotiate peace. Just establish a new emperor and continue working. The territory of the Ming Dynasty, only those that cannot be recaptured due to rebellion and occupation, is a normal rule of the dynasty, but has never been ceded or sent away by monarchs and ministers. Emperor Chongzhen is famous for being a fallen ruler and the only one who was placed in the imperial temples of all dynasties by the Qing dynasty. Regardless of Chongzhen's personal abilities, the Qing dynasty acknowledged that the downfall of the Ming dynasty did not lie with Chongzhen. Of course, this is certain correctness. The Qing dynasty secretly accused him of wrongdoing, which is called a joy. The pestis spread, natural disasters continued, civil unrest, imperial families, merchants who collaborated with the enemy, land annexation, officials playing tax evasion, forcing all the people to the city refugees, and the officials protected each other. Chongzhen, an emperor who took over the plate from an idle prince, could only play with the devil. In the 14th year of the Chongzhen reign, it has reached the difficulty of hell. Lu Xiangyang, who can fight, has already died. Although Qin Liangyu, Sun Chuanting, Chao Bianjiao, and some dying people can use them, light can't fight either. It's not enough to directly ask Chongzhen to use silver to buy things. 1 or 2 silver coins from the Ming Dynasty are only 200 yuan at silver price now. In the 14th year of the Chongzhen reign, one can buy 1 stone of rice in the capital, which is close to the current 200 pounds of rice. The purchasing power of silver is at a loss in modern times. However, it is not impossible to purchase industrial products with silver antiques. No, unless it's from the Tang and Song dynasties. The antiques of the Ming Dynasty are indeed valuable, but the treasure given to me by Chongzhen probably needs to give me 2 big mouths when presented to others. What's the difference between not making them old and last week's ones? It's really difficult. It seems we need to start with gold first, only this thing is easy to get started with. Opening a new bottle of happy water, Chen Ye grabbed his hair and continued to ponder. Here's a reminder, not considering reality without a source of gold is very dangerous. In the Forbidden City, the main hall of the Qianqing Palace, under a few faint candles, Chongzhen sat at a desk, rubbing his swollen eyes. The rebellion is strong, what should we do? Disasters are rampant in various places, and the establishment of slaves in the north has become a climate. Wang companion, do you think I can still revitalize the Ming Dynasty? The emperor is diligent in governing and loving the people. Some rebels are just those with dirty hearts who provoke trouble. When our Ming soldiers gather, they will surely be defeated. You can say nice things to please me. Although he said so, Chongzhen's mood still improved a bit. Just thinking about the emptiness of the national treasury, my palace is already deserted to the point of abolishing palace maids, and the empress and princess sewing clothes to sell for money, I feel sad. Where exactly did the money go? The client of the time-space trading system is officially launched, customer binding successful, who is impolite to speak here. Emperor, what's wrong? Wang companion, have you ever heard someone talking? Emperor, I haven't heard anything. The eunuch Wang Chengyan, who was on duty at the Imperial Academy, had a look of horror on his face. What's wrong with the emperor? Is it because he's worried too much and has already started to hallucinate? Looking at Wang Chengyan's seemingly fake appearance, Chongzhen listened carefully and found that the voice came from his brain, just like his own inner voice. You go out first, Wang companion. I'll think about it alone for a while. Yes, my lord, I will go down and summon someone to make some ginseng tea for you. No need, how can we waste silver while waiting? Liaoning still needs to be prepared for war, how can I afford to be extravagant? Impatiently waving away Wang Chengyan, Chongzhen carefully understood the various functions of the system and the transaction details. Under the system's indoctrination and explanation, Chongzhen understood the system with his own worldview. Firstly, my mind must be fine. Secondly, the system must have been bestowed by immortals. It must have been my diligent and hard-working efforts, as well as the blessings of my ancestors, that gave me this system. The system interface is very simple. The chat interface, understood by Chongzhen as the intersection of documents, allows for direct communication and bargaining with immortals, also known as shop owners. The showcase interface can be directly understood as a vegetable market, and all items that Chongzhen can directly control can be placed in the showcase, and the information of the items will be recorded truthfully. At the same time, he can also see the ferry's showcase and purchase items sold by the ferry. And due to the system's capabilities, there will be a simple understanding and usage methods of what is seen. The following prices are the prices seen by Chongzhen, and the parentheses are for readers to read. That's it. Silver grain of 1 or 2. 400 yuan. Based on the Ming Dynasty's 1 or 2 37 grams. Rice per bucket. 90 yuan, in the Ming Dynasty, it was around 200 kilograms per stone, which is 100 kilograms, and 1 bucket is 10 kilograms, starting from 0.8000 yuan for 10 stones of rice. 2 8-inch makeup mirrors cost 40 yuan, and 2 pounds of apples cost 8 yuan. 2 lighters. For yuan, 2 bottles of shampoo. 60 yuan, 2 pieces of soap. 12 yuan. Anticipating the future. 2 million yuan, Ming Dynasty problem analysis and store owner guidance. 5 million yuan. This. Why is the price of immortals even more expensive than in the current capital? 1 or 2 grains of silver can only buy half a stone of rice. This lighter and mirror are quite good. If you exchange them for immortal yuan, you can buy them. Whether you give them to the empress or give them as a reward to the minister with 100 taels of silver, they are both excellent. The price is only 10 pounds of rice, but they can transform into a salary of 100 stones of rice. Where to earn blood? Where to earn blood? Chongzhen looked at the rice and felt deeply unable to afford it. But the remaining mirrors and lighters, Chongzhen saw their extremely high value. Taking a deep breath, he attempted to send the first message to Chen Ye. Chongzhen. The immortal shop owner is here. Please ask the immortal shop owner to assist me in promoting the prosperity of the Ming Dynasty. I will set up 9 altars to lead the people in worshipping the immortals. Chen Ye. I do have the ability to help you, but helping you comes at a cost. In this era, even immortals need to eat. Want to go for free? Money comes first, goods come later. Do you understand that life cannot be happy without love? Chongzhen, on the other hand, thought to himself that he was indeed a fairy, and his ability to transmit ideas and messages was not something that could be achieved by human labor. It was just that this fairy loved money so much. Chongzhen. I don't know how to exchange the shop owner's immortal yuan. As long as De Ming has it, I will definitely find it for the shop owner. Chongzhen was meticulous in his thinking and did not ask how many taels of silver were converted into how many yuan. After all, others were selling silver, which fully demonstrates that exchanging silver is definitely not cost-effective. Chen Ye. No silver, 1 or 2 37 grams of official cast gold, with a fineness of over 90%, can be exchanged for 10,000 yuan. Other items can also be provided, and I will make an estimate. I can purchase precious woods such as rosewood, yellow pear, and agarwood, as well as Chinese medicinal herbs such as ginseng, Polygonum multiflorum, Wu, Lingji, and Youjian in large quantities after a period of time, and the price will not be cheaper than a few hundred taels of silver. Or antiques, calligraphy, and paintings from before the Yongle era, but you need to give me a list first, and I will confirm whether or not welcome everyone to read this book. If there are any errors, the author would like to make corrections, such as, catching insects, historical, author's attention, here. Thank you for your support. A family's words are inevitably biased, so please be kind and humble to each other. Everyone has their own shortcomings, and you must have more knowledge than me. It is unnecessary to criticize from a moral high ground. Wishing you a pleasant reading. In addition, this book leans towards construction, thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Me, Zhu Youjian, the Master of ZTE. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 2. Me, Zhu Youjian, the Master of ZTE. For antiques, Chen Ye has a preliminary plan of not buying them. Who knows if what Chongzhen gave him might be an undisclosed treasure of some museum. Chen Ye. If you recharge too much, I can help you get some big weapons. Well, with the ability of the system, it shouldn't be considered a violation to customize some weapon parts in places like Ami and Pakistan railways. Chongzhen's entire thigh trembled as he watched the message replied by the imaginary immortal. Now official silver can be exchanged for 1 or 2 gold taels. At the immortal's place, 1 or 2 gold coins can be exchanged for 20.5 taels of silver. I will exchange 8 taels of silver coins for 1 or 2 gold coins, and then exchange gold coins for 20.5 taels of silver coins. Only 200 taels of gold are needed to predict the future. I can see who is loyal and who is treacherous. 500 taels of gold, and I have the assistance of immortals. God bless Daming. God bless Daming. I am indeed a wise ruler. Chongzhen. I'm not sure if the shopkeeper can show up to see me. I urgently want to know about the future of Daming. Chen Ye. I have many restrictions when I come here, and I will let you know when I come. As for telling you about the future of Daming, we need to have a good foundation for cooperation. After reading it, Chongzhen calmed down in his heart. As long as this person with magical abilities is not someone of his great Ming, and there are limitations to reaching the great Ming, then there will be a good foundation for cooperation with him. Wang companion, Wang companion. Emperor, I am here. Wang Chengyan walked in from the door and saw Chongzhen's twisted and excited smile, which made his heart even more afraid. Find someone to bring me a 10 liang gold ingot, then organize the internal funds and see what is left in the funds. Bring me a detailed list. Chongzhen calmed down and gradually calmed down. Although his internal funds were empty, there were still tens of thousands of taels of silver. However, immortals only needed gold, so they had to search for it. Gold was not widely used in the Ming Dynasty. After waiting for a quarter of an hour, Wang Chengyan finally brought the gold he had received from his internal funds and was then waved out of the door. Watching the gold ingot disappear from his hand, Chongzhen's last hint of disbelief disappeared. At this moment, as long as he confirmed that the shop owner was not just in and out, he would have peace of mind. I, Youjian, am destined to be a master of revival. I am destined to be an emperor who surpasses Tang Emperor Han Wu. He muttered to himself for a while, and his golden ingots were displayed in the shop window. Chongzhen. Shop owner, I have already placed the gold ingots in the shop window. Chen Ye. Got it, there aren't enough items in the showcase. You can make a reservation after you finish buying. Chongzhen opened the shop window, and the gold ingots were nowhere to be found. There was an additional 100,000 words in the upper right corner. That's great. You can buy a lot of things. Chongzhen happily bought things and cleared Chen Ye's shop window. What was originally less than 100 yuan was sold for 200 yuan. Although others might feel embarrassed if they had the opportunity to earn a few hundred times more, Chen Ye didn't feel unhappy if he earned less. After all, there were still many things that could be traded in the future. A lighter and a mirror can be sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. How can we develop the Ming Dynasty in the future? The system shouldn't just be for him to play with grooming, right? As there was still a lot of money left to buy, Chongzhen directly added a booking order and spent all the remaining money. Xiangyang Palace, looking at what followed his own thoughts and appeared in the hall, Chongzhen smiled. Daming, we can definitely revive. After murmuring to himself, Chongzhen sorted the things and held a lighter in his hand. Following the instructions provided by the system, he lit the fire with a bang, bang, bang. Chongzhen. Shop owner, I am currently unable to buy or sell in the palace, nor can I let anyone know that I have a large amount of treasures. Please wait a moment, immortal. I will immediately order someone to sell and exchange for gold. Chen Ye. You can instruct the eunuchs in the palace to sell as independent agents, and if you need to spend money later on, you can act with them and find them. By the way, your palace has become a sieve, if you want to keep it a secret. Your hanging friend Wang Chengyan and Gao Yushuan can be trusted to a limited extent. Chen Ye. Here's another evaluation from people hundreds of years later. Morning Chongzhen. Loving the people like a son, the world is rebellious, and using people properly is wrong for me, a generation of wise lords hanging on branches, shameless to harm their ancestors. Chongzhen looked at the message sent by Chen Ye and was momentarily stunned. The immortal's words don't seem to be praising himself, do they? How can I think this sentence is wrong? Since I am a generation-wise ruler, how could I be hanging on branches? Is my own ending Gao Yushuan is his eunuch in charge of the imperial household department, but the other person is Wang Chengyan, not the current chief of the imperial household department, Wang Dehua, which makes him quite strange. However, Wang Chengyan is indeed an elderly person who has followed him for many years and can be trusted, but when this immortal mentions him, one must also be cautious. Wang Companion. Emperor, I am here. Wang Chengyan, who was outside the door, heard the call and immediately walked into the palace gate. It was already the hour of high. Upon entering, I looked at Chongzhen with a strange expression on his face. Wang Companion, take a look at these things. There will be more in 2 days, and all you need is to sell all these things for me. Emperor, these things. Hiss, where is this glass silver mirror from? It's so clear and visible, much better than those missionaries. This item was gifted by an outsider. I am giving you this opportunity now to figure out how to sell them. Remember, it was you who sold it. Wang Chengyan lowered his head in response. He was not surprised by Chongzhen's actions. Each of the senior ministers in the court had their own industry and ate a lot of fat intestines, regardless of how much economic lifeline they controlled. But as long as the emperor wants to earn even 1 or 2 silver, it is a struggle for profit with the people, which must be opposed by countless people. The ministers in the court wish the emperor could eat grass every day. Let the light refract through the wet pupils of tears reflecting the rainbow that I most want to have in my heart. Take me towards the sky with you because you are my dream. Chen Ye, who was still in bed, was called by the phone and picked up to see that his name was from the company manager. Manager, I sent you a WeChat message last night. I need to resign due to some matters. Hey, if it's gone, then it's gone. Just treat me like I'm leaving. The company manager routinely advised him, but he could only ignore it. As long as it was confirmed that Chen Ye's absenteeism was not due to an accident, it would not affect him if he had to resign. Chen Ye, male, 26 years old, with surviving parents. For years after graduating from university, I started working without taking the postgraduate entrance exam due to my desire for a life of free spending and my family's financial situation. As a civil engineering major, he had good luck and joined a private surveying and mapping company, where he stayed for 2 years and was dispatched to the construction site. I fish in the office every day, watching others dust, and occasionally seeing the seals of the first party in secretary. The salary for this job is not high, and Chen Ye has always been stable. There is no one like some who resign due to boredom, resulting in their next job not only being busy, but also having no money. Wake up, sell this gold ingot, and then start preparing to find someone to register a company in the afternoon. Taking a butterfly-shaped small gold ingot and kissing it, Chen Ye put on his clothes and put it into his pocket. Last night, he contacted a classmate who opened a gold shop. Things like this that have no origin, as long as they are not a few tons and there are no major gold theft cases, can be well absorbed. In China, it is very thirsty for these things, but banks occasionally have trouble checking accounts. When there is more in the future and more supplies need to be produced, we need to find other ways to digest them. Although it may not be cost-effective, safety and legality are the key to success. Brother Yi is here. Let's go to my office, Xiaoli. Pour 2 cups of tea. Chen Ye followed Luoyang and sat down in the office, then took out the gold ingot from his pocket. Lao Luo, that's it. Ming Dynasty gold ingots, gold is real, but my friend bought it and ruined it. Oh, let me take a look. Is this shape interesting to imitate? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Your friend won't be you, right? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Your friend won't be you, right? The embryo method used at the bottom is really the same as those of the old ones, but it should not be. It's too new. It's totally the same as last week's, and no fool would be fooled by it. Luoyang held the gold ingot in his hand and carefully played with it. Families who opened gold shops would play with some antiques, so he still has some research on antiques. As he spoke, Luo Zhichuan looked at Chen Ye, his eyes revealing that your friend wouldn't be you, right? I have a friend. Harm, it's really not me. My friend was also deceived for a reason. The fraudster said that this box was opened down and kept sealed, so the gold has a good quality. And the purity of this gold is not enough, it appears even more authentic. He directly gave others a round deal, there are probably hundreds of goods, oh my god, a few million, blood loss, a Porsche 618 is gone. Yeah, he said, if you can offer a good price here, you'll sell it all back to health. Luo Zhichuan didn't continue to ask, as long as the origin of things is not real cultural relics or underground things, then there is no problem. The gold ingots exchanged by Chongzhen had a final fineness of 92%, 376.4 grams of miscellaneous gold, and were sold at 342 grams of pure gold. At a 10% discount on the real-time gold price, Chen Ye ultimately made a purchase of over 121,000 yuan. This discount is over 10,000 yuan more than the 20% discount offered by other companies. If we include the purification fee and operate bleaching, the old classmate is simply trying to stabilize Chen Ye's subsequent supply, without making much profit. On the other side of the Ming Dynasty, on the 11th day of the first lunar month, Empress Zhou was in front of the dressing table, looking in the mirror. Her face was clearly visible, and she gently covered her lips, unable to see enough. Your Majesty, this precious item. I want to exchange it for food, donate it to the disaster victims, and promote your Majesty's love for the people. The Empress doesn't need to worry, there's no need for the palace to be so frugal in the future. Our family has money now. One companion shows filial piety to us. Just accept it. I have someone trustworthy to assist me, and I will surely be able to revitalize the Ming Dynasty. Empress Zhou is already 30 years old, but her delicate face is dressed in a simple phoenix robe, full of repair marks. Empress Dowager, who married into the palace, not only did not enjoy glory, wealth, and honor, but also donated her dowry and wealth to the treasury for military supplies. Chongzhen, who already has system cheats, doesn't care at all about a mere 20 yuan mirror. The two of them talked for a while, and after a while, their eldest daughter, Princess Chang, came to greet them. She saw that Chongzhen was in a good mood today. The whole person is in a very happy and joyful state. Along with the food, I also ate a lot more. Father is in a great mood today. I feel like basking in sunshine. Yes, because my father found a way for ZTE daming. Oh, my father will also give you a mirror in a few days. By the way, this is called an apple. You can try it too. It's cold now and you can't eat it outside. Thank you, father. If father can be so happy every day, I am already satisfied. Zhu Lian looked at Chongzhen with a smile on her face and felt equally happy. A teenage girl was already sensible in this era, and in her memory, her father had not been so happy for a long time. I took a bite of the apple, and the sweet taste made Zhu Lian slightly squint her eyes. Why is this fruit similar to Ringo, so fragrant and sweet? She felt for the first time what a princess should be like. After eating, he felt the Chongzhen message from the system and opened the chat interface. Chen Ye reminded him that all the goods he had ordered had been received. Hurry up to the pre-arranged side hall, and with a moment of thought, 108-inch vanity mirrors and 100 lighters were placed on the ground. Chongzhen ordered Wang Dehua outside the door to summon Wang Chengyan. Wang companion, how have you been with the things you were told about? Lord, yesterday during the day, I entrusted someone to transfer the mirror you gave me, and a wealthy businessman from Shaanxi offered 1,000 taels of silver. After selling it, Chen said there was still a lot left. He said that if there was still a lot, he could offer 200 taels per side, as much as possible. And there are lighters, no matter how many they are 200 taels each. Just what? Speak up. Chongzhen saw Wang Qingyan twisting and twisting, seeming to have some unspoken meaning. Wang Taidu learned about my business and threatened me to submit a portion. Wang Dehua. It's him. Chongzhen remembered that although Wang Qingyan had followed him since he was still a prince, in terms of his ability to do things, it seemed that he was not as good as Wang Dehua. So Wang Dehua is the supervisor of the imperial rights and also serves as the Duke of the East Factory, while Wang Qingyan can only be on duty as the imperial rights supervisor. Chongzhen didn't know yet that Wang Dehua was a member who personally opened the door to welcome Li Zicheng. Compared to Chao Huachan, who was rumored to be in his hometown and quickly opened the door in later generations, he was even more genuine. From now on, you will be the supervisor of the Department of Rights. You have given me a silver mirror and fruits to make me happy. Also, after handing over the East Factory, you can use them to sell your treasures. Here are 90 mirrors and 90 lighters, all of which are the best for gold. The mirrors and lighters are priced at 25 taels of gold per unit. Once you get the gold, it will be transported to the palace. Remember, this is the money you earn. Do you hear me? I understand. How much gold is left in the palace? Collect some for me first. Chongzhen finished warning and waved his hand to leave. During the conversation with the immortal these days, he could feel that the place where the immortal was located was also a place that needed various materials, yellow and white objects, and cultural toys. So he plans to send some gold to the immortal first. Wang Qingyan stayed in place, staring at the mirrors and several boxes of lighters on the ground in a daze, and then became ecstatic. Why did the emperor suddenly wake up the miscellaneous family? Did he think of Godfather? I can't think anymore. I've finally come out of it and sat in the most important position next to this prince. Chongzhen sorted out the gold in the palace and gathered 100 taels of meeting gifts for Chen Ye, so Chen Ye has been looking for multiple channels to sell the gold these days. At the same time, he also carefully collected some information. After all, if Chongzhen died, he would have lost the channel of Chongzhen. It's not difficult to save Chongzhen's life. To be honest, if it weren't for being picked up with a rake, De Qing's ability would have allowed De Ming to bleed. The main problem of the Ming Dynasty lies in various complex reasons. If this complex situation is not broken or established, it can last for more than 10 years at most. However, if there is a slight move, it will be an enemy of the entire elite class in the officialdom. And Chongzhen's problem is more complicated. According to the data, this guy can be said to be more diligent than programmers, often working 4.9.7, and even 996 is weaker than him. But he was so busy with such a blind meal, but it had no effect. All he did all day was review, worship, and blame himself. Of course, this cannot be blamed on him. He was originally enjoying Qingfu, but suddenly rose to power and did not learn any imperial skills. In addition, the environment no longer allows him to take any actions. Whether one has the ability or not, during the reign of Chongzhen, they were already powerless to turn the tide. As for officials in the world, no one would take the initiative to expose the pot of tax evasion. The main reason for this is that they have not yet taken on the responsibility and are unwilling to protect others even if they engage in illegal activities. Send someone to negotiate and expose, kill them. Promoted the first assistant and replaced the person. I dare not agree to relocate the capital for self-protection. With such leadership, it's no wonder that Chuanting only knows how to argue and no one is doing anything, and those who lack the ability to form a party and protect themselves have not had a good ending for those who Chongzhen values. However, Chongzhen has one advantage, which is that he doesn't have to doubt people. If he trusts you, he thinks everything you say makes sense. Yuan Dudu, Yang Sikhang is an example. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Legalization of Income. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Legalization of Income. There are more reasons, but here we will only analyze the reasons for Chongzhen. So to help Chongzhen, besides showing him the future, we also need to let him know our own shortcomings. Then give some guidance. He has money and food, and if he controls the army, the Ming Dynasty will not perish. Of course, the ultimate goal is to enable Chongzhen to transform the Ming Dynasty as soon as possible, industrialize and deliver more materials to reality, so that Chen Ye can control the channels of this world. After summarizing all the information, Chen Ye purchased some clothes online, and also bought some cosmetics and daily necessities to enrich Chongzhen's purchasing intentions. Then we began to search for the relevant procedures required for import and export trade, and in the future, we will provide large-scale assistance without transporting goods overseas. These past few days, Chongzhen has also been constantly talking to Chen Ye, hoping to predict some future ahead of time. But Chen Ye remained silent, mainly because he hadn't finished organizing the materials. In terms of time, he knew it was already mid-January. "Hello Mr. Chen, I am at the entrance of Building B, holding a blue folder in my hand. I see, I'm walking over." Hanging up the phone, Chen Ye, dressed in a casual suit, waved his hand towards the professional OL at the entrance of the office building. "Hello Mr. Chen, I am Su Qing, the registration specialist we have arranged with you. Just call me Xiao Su. This way, please. I'll take you to the company's reception hall for a discussion." Reaching out to block the elevator door with a folder, when Chen Ye walked in, Su Qing gathered her hair, which had been messed up by the air conditioning. Pressing down the elevator floor, the badge hanging around my neck passed through my chest, and a flickering badge hit my stomach. The more we communicate with Chen Ye in the reception hall, the less Su Qing can see through Chen Ye's background. According to Su Qing's guess and a simple conversation over the phone, this man should be the owner of a small supermarket with some small money at home. But as we chatted, Chen Ye's attitude of only looking at speed and negotiating prices didn't seem like he was just running a small supermarket. On the contrary, there is a clear goal and a complete channel for incoming and outgoing transactions. "Mr. Chen, your company operates a wide range of business types. So, except for the more complicated operation of precious metals, the trade of other grains, oils, and handicrafts is very fast. Do you think there is anything else that needs to be added? We don't have it at the moment. How long will it take to get it done? If it's fast, it will take 4 working days, but if it's slow, it may take next week. You just need to confirm your company's office address and warehouse address, and then issue a property notarization. If there are any issues with the funds, you can also approach us for funding amplification." "Well, okay, you can send me the things you need to prepare first, and I'll give you a copy. Wish us a pleasant cooperation." Happy cooperation. After signing the contract, Su Qing continued to lead Chen Ye out of the office building. "Miss Su, how is your company's treatment?" "Mr. Chen, salary and benefits need to be kept confidential." "You're asking me this, aren't you trying to poach me?" Su Qing slightly straightened her chest. She had just noticed that Chen Ye's gaze often drifted towards her chest, and she was used to this kind of gaze. "I have this idea mainly because my company doesn't have anyone yet, and poaching people is the quickest option. We can quickly replenish all the personnel, and you can also be considered a match for our company. So it's like this, Mr. Chen. I need to consider it." Faced with Chen Ye's words, Su Qing also considered in her heart as a graduate student, she doesn't have much opportunity to enter state-owned enterprises. Currently, there are many graduate students in business administration, with over 30,000 in 2022 alone. Previously, the clients she could receive were mostly small companies. When she found them to register their business, they had various magnifications and large assets, but they didn't have much money. A stable-looking horse like Chen Ye is rare in the industry that leans towards procurement and trade. Purchasing and trade are very lucrative. This kind of new company with large capital usually has a dedicated administrative team or backbone to handle new business. It's a good thing to encounter a wild situation, but it feels a bit problematic no matter how you think about it. Su Qing still decided to wait until Chen Ye's company was registered, and more specifically estimate Chen Ye's strength to see if it was a leather bag company. "Okay, consider it. If we can bring your colleagues over together, I'll give you a department manager." Originally, he was just holding grass and beating rabbits, but Chen Ye didn't pay much attention. After receiving her salary and benefits, he still didn't believe that he couldn't let her work hard for him. Do a good job in the company's agency business. The preliminary work of the company has been prepared, and there are intermediary video introductions in the office building and warehouse. Just wait for the signing. Money, Chen Ye doesn't care about it. He can earn too much now, so there's no need to do it himself. Those who stick to those 3 melons and 2 dates and don't understand how to distribute profits can't achieve great things. Because he already had a Singapore visa, Chen Ye booked a flight directly to Singapore. After a few hours of night flight, Chen Ye was already in the warm Singapore the next day. I walked around the Global Trade Center and spent money running errands with a proxy company. I successfully opened an undisclosed account in the Swiss bank branch here. Of course, this non-disclosure is actually false. Swiss banks claim to be strictly confidential, which means they keep Huaxia confidential and not the CIA. However, as long as Chen Ye does not engage in illegal activities and does not invest in high-tech domestically, there is no need to worry about being investigated. Chen Ye mortgaged 2 pounds of gold in the bank and became a member customer of Swiss bank. The small amount of 2 pounds of gold, less than $60,000, is not worth the intervention of the bank manager. Through a bank salesperson, we were able to contact business representatives from several Middle Eastern and West Asian countries, as well as diplomatic officials stationed in Singapore. After Chen Ye arranged a meeting time one by one, they all received a unified gold ingot as a gift. The frank attitude and the requests for tasks were all insignificant and risk-free, making the officials who visited alone very happy. Chen, I have always known that the Chinese people will always be our best friends, and you are the kind of person worth interacting with among the Chinese people. So, Mr. Minister, what did I say? Chen, please send me photos, specific information, and the location where the goods need to be exported to my email. As long as it's not a military or drug, it's okay. I guarantee that there will be corresponding cargo procedures for China's customs application, and there will definitely be a trace to follow. Thank you, Minister Haima. Don't worry, after successful entry, 1% of the entry tax and at least $200,000 in hard work fees will be paid to your designated account. Ha ha ha, Chen, you're so cheerful, I must invite you to the evening party. But I still think 8% is more appropriate. Chen Ye secretly cursed the vampire, but he still agreed. After all, being able to participate in this kind of corruption party can expose him to more corruption criminals. After staying in Singapore for 4 days, Chen Ye contacted 3 business channels and became more and more accustomed to it. Most of the people here are of Chinese descent. As long as you are careful of the compatriots who come from China to work, it is relatively safe and there are not many obstacles to communication. By the way, he also made a move on the internal gold looted by Chongzhen. After a total of 200 taels, half of it was exchanged for Meidao and the other half for yuan. Chen Ye just set off and flew back to the deep city. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Blood Loss. Blood Loss. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Blood Loss. Blood Loss. Zhang Xiji was heading towards the mansion in a sedan chair when he heard a commotion ahead. What's the noise outside? It seems that this store is in the industry of factory sanitation. Zhang Xiji is not surprised by this configuration. There are many eunuchs in the Genie Guard and East Factory who use it for personal purposes. Master, there's a Western shop on the street selling some glass and silver mirrors, as well as a fire folding tool that can be used many times. Oh. Is there something like this? Stop, I'll take a look. Upon hearing the attendant's statement, Zhang Xiji got off the sedan chair and saw a new shop open on the street, with a young eunuch and a royal guard guarding on the side. Walking to the door, the shop was already crowded with people. Zhang Xiji looked from afar and saw several clear mirrors hanging on the wall. The price below was 400 taels of silver or 30 taels of gold. Through the introduction of the shop assistant, he learned that this silver mirror was sent from the far west, unique to the world, and can clearly illuminate people's faces. Master, this glass and silver mirror is really expensive. It's quite expensive. You can buy me one later and I'll give it to madam. By the way, using gold and inquiring about whose industry this is, it doesn't seem like it was created by the factory guards. Zhang Xiji did not continue to walk inside and returned to the sedan chair, completely indifferent to the high price of 30 taels of gold. After all, compared to 400 taels of silver, 30 taels of gold seemed to be earned with blood. On the 19th day of the first lunar month of the Ming Dynasty, Shantian Prefecture, Forbidden City, Fengtian Hall. Chongzhen watched as there was a commotion below, with ministers talking in unison and military officials idle on the side, looking accustomed to it. From the anger in the first year of Chongzhen, to vigorous rectification, then to habit, and finally to numbness. Your Majesty, I have something to report. Cabinet Grand Secretary Chen Ye stepped forward. Speak. Li's bandits are in great power, and now Luoyang is in a precarious situation. We kindly request your Majesty to allocate money and food, and to convene the Governor-General of Hubei in Guangxi, Mr. Yang Gu, to rush to assist Luoyang. I support the proposal. Your Majesty, you must not give up halfway. Mr. Yang is currently besieging Zhang Xiangyang's troops. It is a critical time. Your Majesty, there is an urgent need to allocate funds for disaster relief in Hunan province. Your Majesty, the treasury is empty and the border is urgent. Please increase the taxes. Your Majesty, General Zhu Dazhou of Jinzhou needs money and food. It started again. These ministers would argue for a while and then give Chongzhen a seemingly accepted demand, waiting for him to make a decision. Because the decision-making power is still in the hands of Chongzhen, otherwise Chongzhen wouldn't have known that he was still not the emperor. While watching the excitement, I opened the system and wanted to chat with Chen Ye. Although Chen Ye hasn't revealed any future news to him these days, he still gave him some suggestions. Chongzhen. Shopkeeper, you don't know how outrageous these ministers are. They even say that I live a luxurious life and consume apples from the south during the winter. Why don't they say that when they were eating a lot of fish and meat, I was still eating steamed buns? Chongzhen. Store owner, they have started arguing again. Can you recommend some wise officials to me? Don't just ask me to give money. Chongzhen. Store owner, the situation in Luoyang is extremely dangerous. If it is true as you said, Luoyang city will be attacked by intruders tomorrow. Unfortunately, Chen Ye hung the do not disturb mode and ignored him. Your Majesty, no additional taxes are allowed. The Minister of Revenue, Li Daiwen, shouted loudly and stood up. Your Majesty, the treasury is empty, but the local people have suffered unbearably due to the disaster. Adding taxes would make things worse. Li Shangshu, why is there such wealth in the world? If your Ministry of Revenue cannot distribute money and food, it is your dereliction of duty as the Minister of Revenue. I am proud and dedicated to my profession, but in fact, the world has consumed a lot and taxes have decreased. Your Majesty, I am loyal and have never neglected my duty. Li Daiwen shouted loudly, as the Minister of Revenue, he is too despicable. Chongzhen continued to calculate, it had been 8 days, and he went to Wang Qingyan's place to take a look after the next court. By now, it should have been sold out. Think of 5,000 taels of gold, if exchanged for grain silver, it can directly turn into over 100,000 taels of grain silver. If exchanged for more mirrors and lighters, it would also turn into more money. Chongzhen, who had never been so wealthy before, gave a glance to Wang Dehua, who had already been demoted. Although Wang Dehua was greedy for ink and wanted benefits, Chongzhen did not blame him heavily. One reason was that he was an old man who followed him, and the other reason was that it was normal for the people in the palace to seek benefits from each other. Wang Dehua received his gaze and immediately cleared his throat, shouting, "Quiet." The ministers who were still chasing and cursing each other gradually quieted down. What kind of noise is it? Since we can't come to an agreement, let's retreat from court and wait for you to come to an agreement. With a wave of his sleeve, Chongzhen turned his head and left. Chen Ye, who was arguing, Li was waiting to ask, and Fan Futsue, who was trying to persuade him, was instantly stunned. How did your majesty leave? I don't know. What's going on? Did you make too much noise today? The national affairs are worrying, your majesty must be too tired. Zhang Xiji thought for a moment and walked over to Wang Dehua, who was supervising the eunuch's packing. Duke Wang, what's wrong with you, your majesty? I don't know either, nor do I know where Wang Chengyan got that miscellaneous treasure from. It made your majesty's coaxing so happy that even my position as supervisor was given. So, besides Wang Chengyan, has your majesty seen anyone else recently? Master Zhang, do you have to take care of anyone your majesty sees? This is not in accordance with the rules. Mr. Wang, I didn't feel sorry for you, did I? Speaking, Zhang Xiji took out a silver ingot in his hand. Well, your majesty has been in the palace lately, and apart from Wang Chengyan who has sent a treasure, no one has seen it. By the way, I've heard recently that Wang Chengyan is amassing wealth recklessly. If the imperial censor reports it, Wang Chengyan. Got it. Zhang Xiji lowered his head and left casually, while Wang Dehua smiled meaningfully. Looking at the eunuchs who were almost finished cleaning up, he casually found a reason to curse and said that he had recently fallen out of favor and could no longer spend time with his majesty. Walking to Wang Chengyan's residence, the eunuch guarding the door saw Chongzhen and immediately shouted loudly for the emperor. Emperor, you're here, Shuozi. You go wait outside. After the eunuch left, Wang Chengyan finally opened the bedboard. Emperor, look. The brilliant gold, under the candlelight, is a dark red color, but it is dazzling in Chongzhen's eyes. There are a total of 2,600 taels of gold here. Except for the shop I opened, most of the gold from several merchants stationed in the capital is here. The rest are the silver bills from Kongji Bank, totaling 17,200 taels. Emperor, what's wrong with you? Blood loss. Blood loss. Didn't I say so? I don't want anything else except gold, really. If it weren't. Sigh, wouldn't you wait? The capital of Nuada is missing gold, isn't it possible? Chongzhen was so angry that he stomped his feet. With the exchange of silver and gold, he felt that he not only did not earn 17,000 taels, but also lost 17,000 taels. Requesting a monthly ticket, thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Joy, I'm so happy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Joy, I'm so happy. I was wrong, Emperor. Time is too tight, and some of the remaining gold ingots were infused without authorization, resulting in too much moisture and purity. Forget it, you can also exchange these silver bills for gold ingots later. This room is not allowed to enter for 2 days. Ah. Good Lord, I'll lock it now. By the way, these things are no longer easy to sell in the capital. They are buying at a lower price than our own, but they still want to lower the price. After following Chongzhen out of the room, Wang Chengyan carefully locked the door. In an instant, Chongzhen behind him was already trembling with excitement. 26 million. Chongzhen felt not 26 million yuan, but 26 million taels of silver. As for what Wang Chengyan said about wanting to lower the price, he didn't care. At best, he would ask the immortal to buy some small mirrors at a lower price. There were more people who could afford them, and they were even cheaper. Exclusive business, do you like it or not? Anyway, foreigners still can't bring mirrors to Daming in large quantities. Puff. Looking at the 2,600 taels of gold in the shop window, Chen Ye's breakfast noodles sprayed out from his nose. Although he knew that the day would come, he still didn't expect it to arrive so quickly. How much is 2,600 taels of gold? Close to 200 pounds. Even if 10% of the impurities were removed, there was still 180 pounds left. In just 11 days, Chongzhen used a piece of gold and gained profits several thousand times. Chongzhen. Shop owner, I have already recharged enough money. Please let me know what will happen in the future of daming and assist me. I will establish a temple for the shopkeeper, and in this world, except for the stars and moon, I can bring it for the shopkeeper, Chen Ye. I'll give it to you later. By the way, sell me a few boxes containing gold ingots, new ones, each enough to hold 200 taels of gold ingots. The inner villain is shouting, you unscrupulous businessman, how much did you sell your mirror and lighter for? How much is it? Chen Ye quickly finished his meal. The documents were already prepared and translated into traditional Chinese characters, including historical events from the 14th to 17th year of the Chongzhen reign, historical materials, and photos of relics. Then there is an analysis of the social environment of the late Ming Dynasty in later generations, an analysis of Chongzhen, and a simple analysis of those who died in battle, as well as some improvement suggestions. After everything was done, I put 2 sets of documents into a safe and included some LED lights as a gift, which were ready to be put on shelves. The wooden boxes listed by Chongzhen have also been purchased, and Chen Ye needs to sell a portion of the gold first in order to continue the layout. A person held a wooden box and placed a small gold ingot in the space. Chen Ye took a taxi and found Luoyang. Hey, this wooden box is really professional. It's also made of small leaved sandalwood, but it's just spliced together. Now I do understand why your friend was deceived. Luoyang curiously flipped through the box, looking at the rivet structure on top and the copper nails on the box, feeling that Chen Ye's friend's injustice was not very obvious. To be honest, this box is worth more than a gold ingot, and with your craftsmanship of these gold ingots, if you're not a professional, you'll truly believe it. Harmful, so he became obsessed with money, but it is said that he didn't lose much. That group of people sold him at a slightly higher normal gold price. That's not much, it's just a loss of over 30, from Porsche to Audi. With so many people who can afford it, it's not a big deal to suffer a small loss. Okay, I'll charge you the remaining amount at the price after paying the tax on September 1st. How about I pay you 20,000 yuan for this box? Speaking of which, the box was given away for free. Just be righteous, but my dear brother, keep an eye on the matter. Let's go to the laboratory to inspect the goods. By the way, if there's anything else, you can also give it to me. How could it still be possible? This is already the last batch. Chen Ye quickly stopped. It's enough to distribute a batch of this thing like this now, and it's difficult to explain the origin of the large amount of property in the future. During the inspection, Luoyang looked at Chen Ye thoughtfully. Recently, his friend in Luohu said that a netizen has released a batch of imitation Ming gold ingots, which also appear to be Chen Ye. By the time Chen Ye left the gold shop, coupled with the gold sold in Singapore, his net worth had reached nearly 6 million. On the way, Chen Ye made a phone call. His wholly owned company, Daming Investment Holdings Co. Limited, and several subsidiaries controlled by the parent company have all received their documents and can settle the final payment. You can extract it now. Let me see, what is the future of my great Ming? I am so diligent, it must be passed down for eternity, isn't it? Chongzhen, who happily extracted the safe, understood the purpose and protection of the safe according to the system's guidance. Either way, such important information should be properly preserved. I think, a brief history of the late Chongzhen period. In the 14th year of the Chongzhen reign, around January 20th, the city of Luoyang was destroyed, and King Fu had no way out. He refused to defend the city and release food, leading to an uprising within the city. King Fu was killed. On February 5th, Zhang Xiangyang launched a surprise attack on Xiangyang, and the king of Xiangyang died. At the end of the month, Li Zicheng besieged Kaifeng. In March of the 14th year, the Qing army besieged Jinzhou. In August, the decisive battle between the Ming and Qing dynasties took place in Songjin, and all the generals fled. Chao Bianjiao and Wang Tingchen defended Songshan and died in battle one after another. Hong Qingqiu wept and was defeated, captured. Was he defeated? September. 15 years. In 16 years, a comprehensive outbreak of plague broke out in the capital. In the 17th year, Li Zicheng attacked and the city fell. The emperor entered Xiangyang palace and held the emperor's clothes to cry. The emperor said, "Why did you give birth to my family?" He swung his sword and cut off his left arm, and also cut off Princess Zhaoran at the Zhaoran palace. I have been on the throne for 17 years. Although I have been corrupt and rebellious, my officials have misunderstood me, causing the rebels to rush towards the capital. I died without any face, seeing my ancestors underground. I removed my crown to cover my face. I allowed the thieves to split my body and not harm any of the people. Emperor Chongzhen hanged himself on Coal Mountain, and eunuch Wang Chengyan, Grand Secretary Fan Jingguan, Imperial Censor Li Banghua, Minister of Revenue Ni Yuanlu and other officials died. The Ming Dynasty was destroyed. In April, the Qing army entered the mountain customs. No. 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 This is not true. This must be deceiving me. How could my great Ming possibly die, Emperor, what's wrong? Listening to the cries in the room, Wang Chengyan quickly ran into the main hall, but was hit in the head by a white LED light flying in. Get out of here. The Emperor, calm down and I will go out now. Wang Chengyan saw Chongzhen at a glance after the desk and a stranger Chongzhen. This is the Emperor Chongzhen that Wang Chengyan has never seen before, with disheveled hair and red eyes with tears in them, just like those who have lost their hearts and gone crazy. Chongzhen. Lu Dai. Chongzhen only felt his brain swelling and his temples throbbing, which was completely different from his imagined fame, and even gave rise to the idea of a fairy deceiving him. After an hour, Chongzhen calmed down and wondered if the immortals would deceive him. With his personality, he still retained some doubts. But based on the trajectory of these materials, Chongzhen doesn't seem to be true at all. Chongzhen continued to browse through the brief history of China and the world behind him. The Qing army entered the border, leaving their heads but not their hair. Creak, creak. Is the water too cold? Is the scalp itchy? The sound of teeth biting back and forth kept going, with a fierce smile and a ferocious expression. You are truly the most loyal and loyal courtiers of my Ming Dynasty. I have wronged you by making you officials of my Ming Dynasty. Closed door, human destructed opium, 8 Power Allied Forces, September 18, July 7, Nanjing, New China was founded. A brief history of modern times in the world, constitutional monarchy, technological revolution, humanity no longer holds the power of life and death in the royal family. Due to some reasons, I did not provide too much description of the Qing dynasty. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Shame on Ancestors and Ancestors. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Shame on Ancestors and Ancestors. How could it be like this? How could it be like this? Portugal, England, and Fusang, the small country of bullets, dare to bully my descendants like this. Huang Taiji, look at what your descendants have done. All day long, Chongzhen spent the day flipping through the literature selected by Chen Ye. All the materials were collected from February of the 14th year of Chongzhen, and all previous historical books were screened and removed by Chen Ye. The main reason is that the majority of Ming history was compiled by the Qing dynasty, and Chen Ye did not want Chongzhen to discover any inconsistencies from it. With Chongzhen's suspicious personality, if the information provided is different from his experience, then Chen Ye's subsequent information will be considered false by him. After reading the history book, Chongzhen began to analyze the problems of the Ming dynasty. From the system of the Ming dynasty, to finance and taxation, to the system of official supervision, to the issue of land consolidation and imperial finance, all of these things made Chongzhen start to examine from the bottom of his heart. The problem analysis provided by Chen Ye is completely from a non-personal perspective, which is more objective than what officials give him and what he summarizes himself. Finally, Chongzhen hesitated with a copy of his analysis. History books and analysis of Ming Dynasty issues. Chongzhen had already believed 90% of them, so he was hesitant to open up this analysis. Because he had always believed that he was perfect, that it was the ministers who had misunderstood him, and that his diligence in politics was comparable to that of Emperor Taizu, but this information is likely to be hitting his face. If I have any shortcomings, I will definitely be able to reform. It depends on how the immortals evaluate me. If I don't change again, I will hang myself. What evaluation are you afraid of? There are various analyses and examples behind the evaluation of Chongzhen by later generations. The most diligent and economical, and the fault lies not in Chongzhen. Fortunately, it's okay. It seems that I didn't do anything wrong. As expected, it's not my fault, it's all the minister's fault. Stubborn and irresponsible, with a fickle temperament, severe suspicion and illness, weak ears, and insufficient abilities. If there were a different emperor, the Ming Dynasty could still maintain itself for decades. Seeing this, Chongzhen's last bit of happiness disappeared. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, I am such a person. Stubborn and irresponsible. Yeah, I'm really such a person, ha ha ha, cough cough, ha ha ha. Throughout the day until night, besides hearing cries, there were also sighs, and suddenly listening to the mournful laughter coming from the room, Wang Qingyan trembled, unsure of what was going on, feeling anxious and uneasy inside. Suddenly seeing Empress Zhou walking over in the distance, Wang Qingyan quickly welcomed her. Wang Daban, why hasn't your majesty had any meals today? Empress Shengyan, the emperor is in a bad mood today and has been in the room all along. Are you in a bad mood? Wang Daban, listen, your majesty is in a bad mood. Why are you still laughing? I don't know, do I? Listening to the laughter in the room, Wang Qingyan became even more confused. What happened to the emperor today? Did he fall into evil? Wang Qingyan did not reveal to Empress Zhou the Chongzhen he saw in the morning, but Empress Zhou felt that something was wrong after hearing the laughter. Since Wang Qingyan said that the emperor was in a bad mood, he wouldn't be lying, and his voice didn't sound happy no matter how it sounded. Wang Daban, recently your filial silver mirror, fruit, and shampoo have all been very good. Your majesty has not been so happy for a long time. If the internal funds are empty today, neither our palace nor his majesty knows how to reward you. I dare not show filial piety to the emperor and empress. These are all things that should be done. Everything I do is given by your majesty. Well, I heard that you sell a silver mirror for more than 20 taels of gold. This is the gold hairpin from our palace, although it is small in gold, it is at least a piece of jewelry. Just remember, as a vassal of your majesty, you must regard your majesty as the only one and not betray him, even if there are many benefits of the silver mirror, otherwise our palace will not let you go, madam, I dare not accept it. Every word I say is true, and I dare not be deceived by a single word. Everything that belongs to me belongs to the emperor. If the emperor loses something, I am willing to die. Wang Qingyan understood and was instantly scared to kneel on the ground. If the emperor knew that he had earned the price difference outside the palace and also benefited from Empress Zhou, he would have been hung on the city wall. Look at you, don't get up quickly. What this palace is giving you is for you. Now tell this palace why you say your majesty is in a bad mood. Empress Zhou saw that Wang Qingyan didn't look like he was cheating, so she called him up. After listening to him describe Chongzhen's performance in the morning, she couldn't help but worry. Wang Daban, have there been any bad news recently, or is there a new war going on somewhere? Empress, no, except for the Li bandits besieging Luoyang, but Luoyang has a strong city defense, so there's no need to worry. The younger ones below also say that the emperor has been in a good mood recently. Today the next emperor came to find me, and I gave him a secret that made the emperor very happy. After hesitating for a long time, Empress Zhou decided to go and take a look. Bang dang, the sound of pushing the door came, and Chongzhen opened the door and walked out. His face had returned to calm, but his hair was messy. Empress Zhou quickly stepped forward to tidy up when she saw it. Your Majesty, haven't you been very happy lately? Everyone, please step back. Yes. Chongzhen allowed Empress Zhou to carefully tidy up her appearance, and a sentence rang in her mind. Your Majesty, I have been a concubine for 10 to 8 years, but I did not listen to a word until today. Although the queen's father is a strange person, marrying her own queen is undoubtedly a wholehearted commitment to herself. There is also Wang Chengyan, who is instructing everyone to seal up. It is unknown why the immortal said he was his hanging friend before. Hee, hanging together, isn't it hanging friends? A generation of Mingjun branches hanging, really Mingjun. Your Majesty, what's wrong? It's nothing, Empress. Please accompany me to the imperial temple. Empress Zhou looked at Chongzhen in confusion, looking at his white hair on both temples and his recently erect body, feeling that his majesty had undergone some changes. Gao Yushuan quickly arranged for someone to prepare for the dragon drive, and under the protection of General Han of the Genie Guard, went to the imperial temple. The empress waited outside the door, watching Chongzhen kneel down and also following suit. My ancestors and ancestors are at the top, and my unfilial grandson Zhu Youjian worships here. I have been on the throne for 15 years, working hard day and night, but my ability has not increased by half. Above the court, one cannot recognize people, the 9 border military towns cannot be controlled, and the people of the world cannot shade. So that the people of my Ming Dynasty can be oppressed and bullied by the Tartars, and be bullied by overseas red ghosts. Even small Japanese pirates can ride on my Ming Dynasty's neck. Empress Zhou was so stunned to hear outside. The words spoken by Chongzhen were so shocking that she felt like she shouldn't have heard them. I feel guilty towards my ancestors, towards the people of the Ming Dynasty, and towards those soldiers who died in battle. Fortunately, with the help of immortals, now with their assistance, we can reach all distances in the world. I am truly worthy of helping immortals this time, and I am truly enlightened. After deeply kowtowing, Chongzhen stood up and looked at Empress Zhou, who was kneeling like him outside the door, with a bewildered expression on her face. Empress, I have received the help of immortals who possess great powers and can provide me with endless treasures. Today's matter must not be disclosed. Let's go. I will carefully consider what you say in the future. Empress Zhou stood up, bit her lips, and then kowtowed deeply towards the internal tablet, catching up with Chongzhen. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Enabling Sun Chuanting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Enabling Sun Chuanting. Returning to the Qianqing Palace, Chongzhen summoned Wang Chengyan. Wang companion, you secretly went to Nanjun Fushi and sent a message to Li Luoyang. Just say that I have heard reports of Luoyang's embezzlement and occupation of military pay. There are many vacancies in the royal guards. Let him investigate and report them to no one, including Luoyang. I'll go now. Boss, I will be your employee from now on. Please take good care of me. If the cooperation is pleasant, prepare to get busy. After all, this company only has a secretary department established now. Don't worry, I'll start working on the recruitment information now. We have a few colleagues who can also come over. I'll show you my resume. Don't worry, I have a procurement contract here. You need to find a voice communication company to work it out as soon as possible. Suqing smiled and agreed, then looked at the employment contract in her hand with satisfaction. The Ming Investment Holdings Limited, Chairman's Secretary, monthly salary of 15,000 yuan, 5 insurances and 1 fund, as well as some welfare benefits. Under company management, our main business includes not only financial transactions, but also grain and oil, trade, etc. Our international business is currently recruiting. I rented several warehouses at the logistics port, and then rented a 2-story transfer office building in the office area near the logistics port. With the construction overtime that doesn't cost any money, coupled with the already simple decoration, it will be refreshed in just over a week. Office building rent, decoration, warehouse rental, and the final payment from Su Qing and her company are included in the small sum. It cost 2 million in total. Spending more money naturally leads to more free time, so Chen Ye began to make a complete plan for Chongzhen. After all, everything in his reality still revolves around Chongzhen. The first issue with Chongzhen's position is that his own environment is not safe. The Forbidden City has already been infiltrated into a sieve, and it needs to be rectified, and those who dare to take money will be dealt with. The second issue is that in the future, if we want to control the military, we need to transmit information over long distances so that the grassroots can directly hear his voice, so that the military can be controlled. The benefits of having a company are now evident. Su Qing, in the name of the company, contacted a micro-radio company in the city to customize a batch of monitoring equipment. Private purchases of things like this are not sold at all because there is a responsibility system, and it is not a problem for large enterprises to want to buy them. After all, many companies are in core positions, as well as their security departments, and it is normal for them to place various things, and large companies will also strictly control the flow of such things to the market. The second question: Chen Ye also found a solution on the forum, which is long-wave wireless radio. At this time, he is at a wireless radio club. This radio club was organized by a group of radio DIY enthusiasts. In the late Chongzhen era, long-wave radio could instantly kill all communication tools. Other types of telephone communication are not yet suitable for use, as the foundation of the Ming Dynasty has not yet begun. Let the club DIY produce decoders, traditional Chinese handwriting recognition, facial recognition, large battery storage devices, and mobile power generation devices, and you can obtain a set of foolproof long-distance communication tools. Mr. Chen, we can meet your requirements, but the supporting equipment is a bit troublesome and we need someone to program it. To make it, you also need to apply for a communication license to use it. After exchanging ideas with Chen Ye, Zhong Kong calculated that he felt there was something going on, mainly because Chen Ye is a corporate customer and needs to order a batch of shortwave wireless walkie-talkies. The domestic control of wireless radio stations is still very strict. Clubs like them cannot play with long waves casually, but just like electric cars can be sold and you cannot drive them, buying and selling alone is not a problem, although many people wonder why the manufacturer is not punished. As long as it can meet my requirements, deliver within half a month, monitor the battery accurately, maintain a battery life of at least 10 days, automatically convert radio waves into text, and be waterproof, the price is reasonable. Okay, I calculated that if you want 10 sets, including the power generation and charging equipment, one set would cost 300,000 yuan. Traditional radio stations are not worth it, they are just the additional requirements you have. It is quite laborious to integrate them, including computers, screen customization, software, and you only need 10, so we can only polish them separately. Sure, prepare the contract and specific accessory information. How much deposit is it? A deposit of 900,000 yuan, we can ship it to you within half a month. Smiling as he bid farewell to Chen Ye, Zhong Kong ran back to the club with pride, preparing to contact someone to start. When she returned to the empty company, Su Qing also returned, carrying a stack of signed contracts and handing them to Chen Ye. Boss, it's already done. According to your requirements, the battery life should be at least 3 days and integrated into your wrist. A single monitoring front-end costs 5,000 yuan, with mid-range signal enhancement, 150,000 sets of relays, and a total backend of 200,000 yuan. A deposit of 200,000 yuan, the maximum range of the transfer device can cover 10 kilometers. According to your requirements, only 4 are enough. Well, how long will it take to deliver? A week later, they said it was difficult for the front-end equipment to be formed, and they needed to directly use CNC to make the watch case. By the way, I have already sent out some of the recruitment information on the way, and it is expected that you will have an interview with me tomorrow. At present, the money for opening a membership on the recruitment website was advanced by me and needs to be reimbursed. Chen Ye is quite satisfied. According to his requirements, there are not many listening devices to choose from, and purchasing and selling this thing requires qualifications. Thank you for your hard work. Please keep the purchase voucher and I will report it to you once the finance department is established. The company is about to start various types of procurement, and the procurement volume will still be large. The finance department and import heavy metal transactions should be given top priority, and I don't want the company to be investigated for tax evasion in the future. Boss, don't worry, as long as you don't let me make things worse, the company guarantees stability and there are no problems at all. Are you hungry? We'll treat you to dinner, and we've officially met. Okay, boss, thank you for your hospitality. I'll go and put away the things. Suqing took the documents that Chen Ye had sorted out and walked out of the office, starting to tidy up her things. Shuntian Prefecture, Forbidden City. After the early morning court, Chongzhen left the Fengtian Hall and went to the Wuying Hall. At this time, there was no senior scholar on duty in the Wuying Hall, and Sun Chuanting stood silently waiting for those who summoned him. Watching the emperor push the door in, Sun Chuanting quickly closed his hands and bowed to Chongzhen. Your Majesty. Sun Qing, have you recovered from your ear disease? Your Majesty, thank you for your care. I am no longer in any way affected. He, Sun Qing, well, boya, I know why I suddenly thought of you. Chongzhen lowered his hand and walked towards the desk. Sun Chuanting quickly followed, speculating that the emperor might have remembered him again. However, the kindness conveyed to him by the emperor made him feel a bit helpless. Your Majesty, I do not know. 11 years later, Luoyang died in battle. When you arrived in Beijing on behalf of Luoyang, due to the advice of Yang Xiangyang and Gao Qiqian, I did not allow you to enter the capital, but rewarded General Hong. At the same time, due to the issue with the Qin army, I did not listen to your advice, which made you depressed and even deaf. Afterwards, I asked you to be the governor of Baoding, and you wanted to see me. However, I also refused. If you are angry and resign due to deafness, I will demote you to a commoner and issue an edict to prison. A meritorious minister is not rewarded. Worried about national affairs, unable to face you. Unable to fully recover due to physical discomfort. Boya, I've wronged you. Sun Chuanting was more and more surprised as he listened. In the past 2 years, he also asked himself in prison, is such an emperor worth it? Now when I hear Chongzhen talk about the injustice you have suffered, I am already in tears, and the grievances of the past 2 years of imprisonment have been released. Your Majesty's words are solemn, and I will not be wronged. I am ashamed of my trust in your Majesty, and I have failed to fulfill my duties as a courtier. If I cannot provide timely advice, I will die 1,000 times. End of this chapter. Chapter 9 Chongzhen. Giving women's clothing as a gift. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Chongzhen. Giving women's clothing as a gift. Watching Sun Chuanting's shoulders tremble, Chongzhen secretly calmed down, not wasting his efforts in organizing his words, and then shamelessly apologized to a courtier. Loyal to the emperor and loving the country, with a heart for heaven and earth, and for the peace of all ages, Sun Iching, do you still have your true intention? Your Majesty. I am loyal to your Majesty and loyal to the great Ming Dynasty, and have never changed. Sun Chuanting's eyes were red as he raised his head. Chongzhen, who was sitting in front of him, was already in his prime. Sun Iching, the state affairs are deteriorating. I am preparing for you to lead the rectification of the Beijing camp and also to serve as the governor of Hunan. Do you have confidence? Your Majesty, the relationship between the capital and the camp is deeply intertwined and requires a concerted effort, which will temporarily disrupt the morale of the military. I have heard that there has been a famine in Hunan in recent years, and Luoyang is being besieged by bandits. Please first settle in Hunan, provide relief to the disaster victims, and then reorganize the Beijing camp. If there is still a strong rebellious trend in the current rectification of the capital, it is feared that the rectification will come to a standstill and cannot be carried out again. Chongzhen looked at Sun Chuanting with satisfaction. Sun Chuanting's gaze and strategy were all fine, but unfortunately, according to the historical records given by the immortal, it only took 1 or 2 days. Boya, to be honest, I have received news that there has been a rebellion in Luoyang city. The governor of Luoyang and the guards of Luoyang are seeking the help of King Fu's money and food. King Fu only learned to pay when he was on the brink of death. Now, Luoyang is only waiting for the rebels in the city to start, and they will break through within 3 days. That's why I asked you to first rectify the capital camp. What? This is impossible. Since your majesty has this news, why can't he inform the governor of Luoyang? Or should he order Yang Zuo Liangyu to rush to Luoyang? Sun Chuanting was shocked and asked, the news from Chongzhen is too unbelievable. If that's the case, Luoyang, an important transfer point in the south, will be gone. Chongzhen didn't explain anything, just said that there were already other arrangements. Click and wipe. In Sun Chuanting's puzzled gaze, Chongzhen held a glowing small box and aimed it at him. With a click, he nodded in satisfaction. Alright, let Sun Aiqing go down. I'll have Gao Companion pass on your reinstatement document to the cabinet and it will be out soon. Later, take the token and go to the Ministry of War to see the documents from the past year. Your Majesty, I retire. When Sun Chuanting went down, Chongzhen summoned Wang Chengyan. How have you been with what I told you last night? Return to the Emperor. Li Ruolan, the commander of the Royal Guards, has received the news and is sending someone to Luoyang. If there is any news, we will investigate and report it as soon as possible. After reading some literature, Chongzhen agreed with the statement that the Royal Guards were rotten. Wang Companion, I really trust you. You must remember not to go astray. I understand. The East Factory is also in a state of decay. You can also prepare for it. I will reorganize the East Factory and the Imperial Horse Guards. The future role of the Imperial Guards will only be greater, and more non-officials will be added. As long as you are loyal, you will be in charge of this new institution. Your Highness, I am afraid. I don't need you to be very capable. What the factory guards need is complete loyalty to me, not greed, not to speak. I am blessed by immortals, and I can also bless you. However, if you betray me, I can also bring you punishment from heaven. I swear to be loyal to the Emperor to the death. What the Emperor gives me is what I give. I will not reveal anything about the Emperor. In a few days, I will give you some other treasures, which you can use to identify candidates in the palace and select those that can be used. Recently, you will be responsible for selling some silver mirrors. For other things, I will discuss how to sell them after I finish my work. Chongzhen waved his hand and walked out of the side hall, while walking on the system chat interface, passing back the arrangements he had made and the phone he had just taken a photo of to Chen Ye. Wang Chengyan has already witnessed many of his methods, which can be considered as being burned to death on him. After finishing work, I started sending messages again. Chen Ye felt another message from Chongzhen, his head pounding with excitement. How can Chongzhen be more clingy than a girl who just started dating? Chongzhen. Immortal, I have followed your guidance and reactivated Sun Chuanting. At the same time, Li Ruoyan and Dong Chang have also begun to arrange. Chen Ye. Both the Jin Wei and the East Factory need to investigate first, and we can wait for the monitoring equipment to arrive before taking action. I can't believe Sun Chuanting looks so old, isn't he only 50 years old? By the way, take some photos of the Royal Guards when you have time. Let me take a look at the flying fish robe. Chen Ye has been envious of the Royal Guards for a long time. Flying fish costumes and embroidered spring knives, although they are theatrical embellishments, how can they not come from nowhere? Chongzhen. No problem, Immortal. It's your precious phone for taking photos. How much does it cost per phone? Chen Ye. This is a Huawei phone, which is difficult for thieves to steal now. Let me give you a Xiaomi phone with the same functions, even if it's a friendly gift to you. Chongzhen. Thank you, Immortal. Immortal regards me as a friend, and I also give him a gift. When Chongzhen saw the gift of friendship, he immediately climbed up the ladder of friendship with a snake and stick. In front of the system, he didn't have to be a shameless emperor. Thinking of giving gifts, Chongzhen quickly got up and drove to Cunning Palace. Sister, your Majesty's mood has improved a lot recently. I haven't seen your Majesty so happy in a long time. Yeah, I don't know which year it started. Your Majesty has been busy with court affairs, and the Ministry of Revenue has no money or food. Your Majesty's hair has turned white due to worries, and we haven't relaxed for a long time. Mother, after finishing the apples, you can go to the garden to play. A little one dressed in plain clothes rushed into the door, and it was Princess Xiaoran, the youngest daughter of Chongzhen. Mother's Empress, Tian Gui. Well, my little sister is still young. Remember to make her eat more fruits and take care of her when taking her to the garden. The little girl is restless, so don't let her fall. Sister, why give such orders? The female officials will naturally take care of them and go play. Okay. Ouch. Zhu Luqian happily turned around and was about to run towards the door, but happened to see Chongzhen coming in. Father is here, father's embrace. Oh, father's embrace, father's embrace. As soon as Chongzhen stepped into the hall, he was almost overwhelmed and couldn't stand steady. But he saw that it was Youjian, so he let her rush in, held her in his arms, looked at it tenderly, and walked into the hall. Father Emperor, husband, your Majesty, among 3 different cries, Empress Zhou ordered someone to clean the stool and wait for Chongzhen to sit down. Empress, are there any recently woven clothes in the palace? Clothing. There is a woven women's clothing set, and I plan to have the prince take it out for sale in a few days. Then give me women's clothing and give it to me. I have someone to give it to. Ah. There is a very important person, and I want to give him a gift. I want to give this clothes to his wife. If his wife is happy, he will also be happy, right? Chen Ye looked at Chongzhen's shop window and saw an extra small box worth 0 yuan, lost in thought. Daming Ming made hanfu personally woven by Empress Zhou, women's style. Chongzhen, what do you mean? In order to bind me, you want me to be a woman and marry you. Fortunately, Chongzhen sent a note stating that it was for the shop owner's wife, which allowed Chen Ye to communicate. If there was a war between the 2 armies and a gift of women's clothing, Chongzhen might not have time to explain. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Layout of Xiangyang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Layout of Xiangyang. Taking out the box from the office, the clothes were made of very fine silk weaving, and the stitching was also very exquisite. The continuous embroidery technique on the top also made Chen Ye, an old man, extremely fond of it. Boss. The knocking on the door rang, and Chen Ye shouted in directly. He also put the hanfu in the box in his hand. This special item, he was prepared to collect it well and give it to his girlfriend in the future. Several interviewees have already arrived, and my colleagues have also arrived. Okay, I'll prepare now. You can bring it over later. Suqing placed the folder on Chen Ye's desk, looked curiously at the box at the corner of Chen Ye's desk, and turned around to go out. I feel a bit strange in my heart, always feeling that the box looks very exquisite, but there is no difference in the fineness of industrial products. Chen Ye opened the folder and casually took out several resumes inside. There are 4 men and 3 women in total, and the time is too short. Chen Ye didn't see which one was very outstanding, or in other words, the text on the resume looks very excellent. It was one of the men who didn't specialize in human resource management, but had worked as a senior HR in 2 listed companies and looked very skilled, so I called him first. Chairman, this is Mr. Lu Weimao. Mr. Lu, this is the chairman of our company, Mr. Chen. Next, he will interview for you. After Su Qing knocked on the door, she brought in a person who seemed to be someone from a different field. Please take a seat and introduce myself. I am Chen Ye, chairman of Daming Investment Holdings Company, Limited. Let's briefly talk about your previous work experience and how to verify the other party's abilities during recruitment. Hello Qingdong, my name is Lu Weimao and I am the top headhunting consultant for an talent group in Shenzhen and even in the country. I'm sorry to have contacted you directly as an interviewer, but it was mainly your company's landline that has been in a state of being unable to connect and on the phone. That's why I made this decision. Chen Ye put down his resume and looked at the headhunting consultant in front of him. Is this a situation to promote business and sell people? It's normal that the company's landline is not working. Now that Chen Ye's company has just started, there are many advertising calls and no business calls. Su Qing was not here before, and Chen Ye is also not here. Are we all competing in business now? If you hand me the business card directly to my secretary, she should also let you talk to me. Are you not afraid that failing the interview will affect my fluency in the interview? Qingdong, now the industry competition, telemarketing, and business scope are getting narrower and narrower compared to before. Without hard work, there is nothing to eat. As for the interview, I am professional. I can make my resume and initial appearance flawless. After all, that's what I eat, Lu Weimao said as he took out a document from the folder. Qingdong, this is our company profile. In today's era, high-end talents are often relatively stable, and it is not easy to recruit them in general. I have observed your company and found that there was a significant initial investment and no company collateral, indicating that the source of funds is abundant. The scope of business is very broad, and you are even registering for international business qualifications, which indicates that your own channels have been allocated, but the company's backbone has not yet been matched. So our headhunting company's services are very suitable for you. We have a professional background check team and a rich database of high-end talents. As long as you raise the needs of your company's backbone, we can quickly find suitable candidates for you, save you valuable time, and handle affairs that make the company stronger. Chen Ye slowly flipped through the information of the headhunting company and had to admit that Su Qing's recruitment and Chen Ye's goals were not too high-end targets. Reality is not like a novel. A new company funded by one person starts recruiting, and then frustrated senior talents come over. In fact, even if the benefits are given well, 90% of the applicants in the early stage are job hoppers who stare at the website every day. They may not have strong abilities, but they will try to apply for resumes to companies with low requirements and very good welfare benefits. Even if senior talents consider changing jobs, they will filter out new companies without a background in large companies. New companies offer good treatment, but they may hold a skeptical attitude. Consultant Lu, I'm a bit interested in your service, but not much. It depends on whether you have that human resource. What our company urgently needs now is experience in importing and exporting precious metals, as well as talent in conducting cross-border business. They need to have sufficient understanding of import trade, customs clearance procedures, and domestic relations. Sure, I will gather the relevant personnel with the database when I return, and I will definitely find the most suitable talent for you. Recently, it happened to be a wave of resignations after the new year. You need to first provide me with the annual salary limit and the size of the team that employees can lead. Also, our business fee standard is 20% of the recommended employee's annual salary, starting from the third month of their employment. There's no problem with the fees. You should have a background adjustment for the annual salary limit. I will allocate according to the situation, and the team size will be based on the business he is responsible for. In the subsequent interview, with the remaining 3 men and 3 women, Chen Ye followed the method given by Lu Weimao and actually tried out 3 professional thugs. The remaining 1 man and 2 women, one of whom is a recent graduate from Shenzhen, and the other is an employee of Su Qing's former company who was recruited by her. So far, Chen Ye's company has 3 departments: Human Resources, Office, and Finance, and it will soon be back on track. Suqing, I'm preparing to make a purchase this afternoon. What else are you missing? Let's make a form and go buy together. After thinking for a moment, Su Qing realized that Chen Ye's company has only been open for 2 days and there are still many things that the company needs to buy. Chen Ye has never seen clients like Su Qing before, so she can only do errands, and there are some areas where her work has not been fully utilized. Firstly, the company needs to buy 2 cars, which will be useful whether it's for your trip, boss, or for us to receive customers. It can also be used to fill in company assets and provide certain tax reimbursement for the company, which is beneficial for tax reduction. Secondly, for the procurement of office supplies, our company still lacks computers, printers, and projectors. Speaking of these, IT also needs to recruit as soon as possible, otherwise it would be embarrassing to have you personally open Wi-Fi. Thirdly, there is food to eat. If the company doesn't have food, how can we handle it? Even overtime is boring. Suqing's eyes lit up as she spoke about food. It was clear that having food was the most important aspect of employee benefits for her, aside from money. Then buy 2 red flags. I think they look quite impressive. I'll send you the car model later and use the company account. Red flag, can it be too high? Profile. What's high? Profile? They say they're not afraid of encountering red flags on the road, they're afraid of hanging red flags. Chongzhen arranged for son Chuanting and Wang Chengyan, but he was still very impatient because it was already the 21st of the first lunar month. Thinking about it, the system prompted a new message. In the showcase, Chen Ye added a new batch of small glass products and several exquisitely shaped steel knives. But Chongzhen no longer had the heart to consider those. Chongzhen. Store owner, the intelligence from Luoyang will come in 2 days. Please advise the store owner to help me defend Xiangyang. Xiangyang cannot be lost again. After anxiously asking Chen Ye, Chongzhen anxiously waited for his reply. It is certain that Luoyang cannot be defended, but there is still a chance for rescue in Xiangyang. Moreover, no matter how useless Yang Sikheng is, he can still be considered obedient. In the future, controlling the courtiers will require him to speak up. Chen Ye. Xiangyang can still be rescued. In this way, you can write a decree and prepare some firearms. Then use the system to send it to the magistrate of Xiangyang, reminding him to defend tightly and let Ma Xianglin prepare for military affairs, so as not to be deceived again. He also sent Luoyang, the commander of the royal guards, to Xiangyang with a decree. Regardless of whether Xiangyang can be defended or not, when he returns, he will be punished for his misconduct. He also has a lot of black material. Chongzhen. Immortal, is there a more secure way? Every time the rebels break down the city, they will inevitably wash it with blood. I can't bear it in my heart. Chen Ye. I cannot directly interfere with you. There is a power that limits my ability to deliver great weapons to you. If Li Zicheng was in a fixed position, it would be great if he could just speed up the giant meteorite falling from the sky, but he's not in a fixed position either. Watching Chen Ye set the do not disturb mode, Chongzhen could only stop paying attention to the system and let out a sigh, but there was nothing he could do. Request tickets, various tickets. Please also like the homepage character card. End of this chapter.